Hello guys and gals, Buffalo here. So right out of the gate, let's do a little shooting. This is an 8-inch steel plate. Got 4 of them hanging at 10-yard intervals, 10, 20, 30, and 40 yards. Got the Rock Island Armory Model 200. See if we can make some hits. Now those targets hanging on the backstop there in the back are at 50 yards. Let's see if I can find a home for these last 2 rounds. Pretty good shooting little revolver. Alright guys, so what we're taking a look at here today is the Rock Island Armory Model 200. I think Rock Island Armory is probably much better known for their budget 1911s, but they've been making these for a long time. They're just less heard of. So it's a Model 200, it's a 4-inch barrel, it's all steel, 38 special, 6-shot. Just a budget revolver. It kind of resembles a Colt externally. Got the pull cylinder latch there that releases the cylinder. Cylinder rotates clockwise like a Colt, but I'm not trying to tell you guys this is a Colt or a Colt clone. It's certainly not. Just kind of resembles one. You're not going to get this thing has an MSRP of $275. Of course, get out shopping around the real world, it's going to be a lot closer to 200 bucks. So you're certainly not going to get a Colt quality firearm for that price. Especially, you know, revolvers are more complicated than people give them credit for. You think of a revolver as a simple point and shoot, but there's a lot going on in here. So when you get down into a price range this low, you have to cut corners. There's no doubt about it. But inside, it has a coil mainspring. Does have a transfer bar safety system, meaning that your hammer is not going to make contact with the frame mounted firing pin unless the trigger is actually pulled. Basically just means it's drop safe. So I'm going to shoot it a little bit here. Got some different types of ammo. Got some Federal 158 grain and some Remington 130 grain target ammo. This is the Remington is FMJ and the Federal is just lead round nose. So I've already got my ears in, get my eyes on here. Got some targets behind me. We'll load up. And shoot a little bit. We'll shoot double action since I already shot some single action there in the opener. So the trigger on this thing is not bad at all. The double action pull is smooth and even all the way through, predictable. Single action is very crisp. There's no noticeable take up or no noticeable over travel. Not bad really. The trigger is definitely one of the high points of this, not to bring up high point in a budget review, but the trigger is one of the high points of this revolver in my opinion, at least this particular one. Now, I know that there's some issues out there and we'll discuss that later on in the video with quality control. So, you know, you may grab one of these and it'd be great, and somebody else may buy one and it be, you know, a horror story. But we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. Extractor nice and smooth, but we'll load back up. We'll shoot some of these 158 grain lead round nose this time. Whoop. Can't shoot one that's already been spent. Now, you guys probably can't see that. The 158 grains, I'm using the same point of aim, and they're barely catching the tops of the target. So with the 158 grain in this particular revolver, you'll need to use a 6 o'clock hole. Even missed that middle one there, but you'll need to use a 6 o'clock hole because it does shoot high. I don't know if all of them are that way, but this one seems to be calibrated. The fixed sights seem to be calibrated for the lighter 130 grain. My glasses are starting to fog up already. So I think I'm going to take this opportunity to show, I'm going to set up a couple of targets and try to put a bullseye in the middle and show the difference in the 130 and the 158 grain ammo as opposed to the point of impact that I'm getting. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and we'll move the camera over here. All right, so what I'm gonna do is shoot a group of 6 on each of those targets that I've got fixed up. I know that's not an ideal setup. I didn't have any paper targets with me today. Like my shirt says, save a tree, shoot steel. So, but I painted me a couple of black bullseyes for my point of aim. That's where the top of my front sight blade is gonna sit. So, and of course it's gonna be even with the top of the back. But I'm gonna have a direct hold on that black dot with both types of ammo and just try to show the difference here. So up first is the Remington 130 grain. We'll shoot single action and try to get the most I can get out of it. Of course now the target's moving around everywhere. Try to time that swing of the plate. Man, my glasses are fogging up like crazy. Those groups would be a lot smaller on paper, but that target swinging back and forth is kind of hard to do. Okay, so on the other target, I'm going to put in 6 of the 158 grain Federal lead round nose here. And see what happens on it. All right. Go ahead and get these glasses off. You can see the 130 grain was much lower and closer to the bullseye, and the 158 grain got about the same group size but was much higher. Now at 15, 20, 30 yards, that's going to climb even higher. It'll climb all the way off this target. So that's why I chose 30 feet to do the example. So basically, what I was trying to say there is that just because you've got a revolver with fixed sights doesn't mean you can't kind of fine tune it. You can fine tune with your ammo and search around and see which one's going to give you closest point of impact to your point of aim. So we'll roll in some close-ups here. Now it does have a Parkerized finish. Not a very you know, eye-appealing finish, but it is applied evenly and it does seem to be fairly durable. It's got a polymer grip. The grip's kind of, you know, it's hard. It's not a rubber grip. It's got a little bit of flex to it, but with a all-steel revolver shooting 38 special, there's not a whole lot of recoil to absorb, and the grip does fit my hand well, so that does, you know, that does make a difference. So if it doesn't fit your hand, you may have an issue, but it does fit my hand well. And I've seen people put other grips on these, so you can put other grips on them. I think, you know, some of them may require a little bit of custom fitting, but I've seen people put Colt grips on them, for example. Now you can shoot plus P rated ammunition through this revolver, but as you can see here, this is direct from their website. They don't recommend you do it unless you have to, so personally, I just keep away from the plus P stuff in this thing. The sights are pretty crude. The front sight is just a ramp, of course, non-adjustable. Rear sight's non-adjustable. See if I can swing that camera around and get a better view. All right, so here's your rear sight. You can see it's just a groove cut into the top of the frame. And there's your front sight. So fairly crude sights, so they do get the job done. I'm able to make hits with this revolver, but you know, I have to credit the trigger more than the sights with this one. You got a nice trigger on it. I'm really surprised with that. Speaking of the trigger, let's go ahead and get a pull weight on that trigger. Lyman scale is showing 3 pounds, 8 ounces. See how consistent that is. £3 pounds, 7.8 ounces. So two pulls there, fairly consistent with one another. And that's 3.5 pound trigger is not bad. And like I said, there's no take up, there's no over travel. Once the trigger breaks, it comes to a stop. Even the double action pull on this revolver is not that bad. This is a Lyman scale. It only goes up to 12 pounds. I can't check most revolvers double action pulls with this scale because they go beyond the 12 pounds. Let's see if I can check this one. £10, 8.5 ounces. So even the double action pull is fairly nice, and it's smooth and predictable all the way through. It doesn't bind or have a lot of sponginess to it or grit. Just man, credit where it's due. Pretty nice trigger. This hammer spur is wide and flat. It's got some really aggressive serrations there. Make it really easy to cock even with sweaty hands or damp weather. Now on the smaller pistol with the wood grips, and even if you put the wood grips on this one, the hammer comes back far enough to catch the web of your hand. I see a lot of people complain about that, but with these particular grips on this revolver, don't have that problem. Some of you might. I guess it depends on the way your hands are made or the way you grip the revolver, but I certainly haven't had that problem today. Now, as far as holsters go, I haven't done a lot of research. I'll go ahead and admit it. If any of you guys already have this gun and you have a holster that works really well for you, go ahead and share that in the comments so that somebody else looking for one of these might see your comment and get a lead on a good holster. This is just a nylon holster, and these work really well for this gun. It's a Smith & Wesson K-frame size holster. It's a Blackhawk size 2. So, and I've heard a lot of people using K-frame holsters, Smith & Wesson K-frame holsters with 4-inch barrel, of course, for these guns, and having pretty good luck out of them. But I think that the tighter the holsters are molded, the less likely this gun is to fit. So get a leather holster, or one of these works just fine. But like I say, you guys in the comments that own these already, go ahead and feel free to let us know what you're carrying it with. All right, guys, so for me personally, I see this as like a truck gun, and I put that on my Facebook the other day, and truck gun doesn't necessarily mean stashed in the truck. When I use the term truck gun for a gun that I might stash anywhere, at a remote location for, you know, something I can get to and at least have something if I couldn't get into my home, you know, for whatever crazy reason. But also it could be in the truck, could keep it in the truck. Certainly I don't want any of my guns to ever get stolen and get in the wrong hands, but if you did lose this gun, you know, you're not losing a Colt Python, you know. It's not going to set you back a crazy amount. Like I say, they go for about $200. So also you can treat it kind of rough and not worry about the finish. If I put a big gouge or a scratch on this gun, the value's not going to drop all that much. But if you put a big gouge in a Colt Python, watch how many heads turn with that thing. So, you know, you've just put a $200 or $300 scratch or gouge into a gun or more. But with this gun, you're not going to lose that much. Now, could it be a viable home defense gun? You know, of course it could. My thing is the quality control with these are very spotty. Do yourself a favor if you're thinking about getting one of these and look up Rock Island Armory revolver problems here on YouTube. You'll get a bunch of hits. They've got a bunch of problems. Obviously, quality control's not up to snuff, and the Philippines is not known as a beacon of quality for firearm manufacturing anyway. But that being said, if you do choose to buy one, take it out. Well, first, buy in store. Don't buy sight unseen online or whatever. Go in the store where you can physically check the gun out and look for any obvious defects. Make sure the gun's not extremely, not wildly out of time or anything. You can check the timing on these guns. I'll do a video on how to inspect one of these guns before you buy it, and I'll put it on my other channel, and I'll put a link in this description to that video if you want to check it out. But give it a good look over. Make sure there's nothing crazy obvious wrong with it. And then when you get it home, get it out, shoot it, build up some confidence with it, make sure it's going to run right. If you get one like this one, it doesn't seem to have any problems. So if you get a good one, well worth the price point. If you get a bad one, you're going to probably have to send it back, have some warranty work done. And they do come with a warranty. And that's one thing, a lot of people will say, go ahead and save up, get a used Smith & Wesson for $300. You can get a police trade-in Smith & Wesson Model 64 for around $300 or a Model 10. So, and I see nothing wrong with that. If that's what you want to do, go that route. But there are some people out there that there's a big jump from $200 to $300. Some folks are willing to spend a couple of hundred. You get over that, and they won't hardly do it. So, and that's your budget gun owners. They see guns. Most of them see guns as a tool, not something they want to get out and show off in front of their friends when they come over. So they just want something that's going to get the job done. And with this gun, at least you do get a new gun with a warranty, and that's what some people just want to go for. So don't know how good the customer service is at Rock Island Armory. I've read some good things. I also read some bad things. If you want to see one of these guns come straight from the factory in horrible shape, go check out the ZRUS channel, ZRUS Outdoors. I'll put a link to that video down in the description below as well. He got the shorter version, the Model 206, but it's the same revolver, and just had he had all kinds of issues with it, and he's got a video posted. You can check it out. So I'm not trying to feed you a line of bull and tell you this is a great revolver. This particular one is a great revolver for the money. You just have to be careful when you're choosing one. So, hope I haven't went too long-winded on you guys today. We'll close out with a little more shooting, and I'll talk with you guys again soon. .30 grain. Double action. Had to close out on a miss. Dang it.